All right, welcome. I'd like to open up the January 8th Town Council meeting in West Virginia. Delighted that so many of you are here. Particularly recognizing that it's icy out there, or people have been talking about it all day. John Bennett cannot be with us tonight. What we're going to do in terms of agenda, as you can all see, is ask Rick Hancock of the Postal Department, Postal Service, to talk, which is why many of you are here. So we'll do that very first, and then do all the sort of normal business after, so Rick can get out of here, and the rest of you can if you wish. Those of you who want to see a football game can get on. But one other, I would like to add to the agenda, if it's acceptable to my colleagues, under old business, that we talk again about the notion of having some advisory groups for various subjects in the town. We talked last meeting about it. Fred Catman has a few other ideas, additional ideas. So if it's okay with my colleagues, we will add that to the agenda. Any problem with that? Okay. All right. Let me introduce Rick Hancock from the United States Postal Service. Rick is driven up from Raleigh, North Carolina to be here, which shows a commitment to job, duty, and country. The mail must get through even if there's ice on the road.
I'm real estate.
Yeah, real estate. Did not bring any mail.
No, sir.
But we're very grateful for his coming up here and be willing to share his ideas. So he's going to talk for a while, and then we'll open it up to the public. And let me just point out and remind the people, this is being videotaped. So for people interested in Rick's presentation, they'll be able to see it at Rap News in a day or two, I guess, whenever it's put up. And with that, may I just introduce you, Rick?
Please, thank you. My name is Rick Hancock. I'm the address of the mayor and council. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I am a real estate specialist with the United States Postal Service. I am a new space acquisition project manager. I work up and down the coast for the Postal Service. I'm a postal employee. And whenever there is a potential new space project, I am the real estate point of contact. We have been working here in Washington, Virginia, quite some time on alternatives, long-term solutions. We love our location downtown. We've been there for a while. We've been working with the Inn, but whenever we look at alternatives, which we're doing currently for a potential relocation and working with the Inn, what our first step, our first action step, okay, is to reach out to the local government. Our second action step is to hold some type of presentation in the public meeting to allow comments and feedback from the locals, okay? Whenever the retail component is potentially moved. That's why I'm here. No, we don't know where we're going. We don't know when we're going. This is a potential relocation project. We're soliciting comments. Now, I'm not going to write them down here. I don't have that kind of memory skills. What we do is we open up for public comment for 30 days minimum. And that's what we're doing right now. And obviously, anybody here this evening, I've already been in contact with me, I can explain the process. I can explain what our potential timeline is. No, I cannot give you where we might go. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll come up and say, hey, what about this? We're not there. We're not in that position right now. Okay? So the second part of why I'm here, and I've already done this, is to review potential locations. No judgment's been made. No decision's been made. I'm only part of the process. Okay? So what we'll do from this point is we solicit anybody who has a space or a potential space for a postal operation within the Washington, Virginia area. Yes, everybody's going to ask, is it going to be downtown? Is it going to be the zip code? Right now, it's anywhere. any proposal anywhere, big net, okay? I work for a lot of people, okay? My job is to be a conduit, okay? A real estate point of contact for you all to my bosses, okay? I understand I have a lot of them. What we'll do is we'll take the feedback, okay? And then my management will make a determination of whether or not to move forward with relocation or potential location analysis, okay, which is what we call the site review. A site review is held once we have done our due diligence, looked at sites, and we're requesting proposals. The request proposal is for approximately 2,000 square feet. It is approximately 20 parking spaces. And this is all approximate. Okay. Everything comes to me as the point of contact. I will post and have posted my point of contact information again. My business cards are there. And then I will work with whomever is interested in giving us a proposal on the details. Okay. Basically, I'm just looking for who they are, what they have, what they're trying to achieve. And then I can guide them through the process, which can be very challenging. Okay. When we go through our due diligence, like anything or any other business, we look at the pros and cons, and then we present it to management for a decision. It is a lengthy process. This is only the beginning of the process. So I please ask everyone to understand that this is just the beginning. I don't have a bunch of answers. I'm here. That's a fact-finding mission. And that's pretty much it. In terms of timelines, this is where we're at. We have a 30-day minimum public comment period. I take those public comments, okay, they're not site-specific, okay, they're project-specific. I present those to upper management for determination whether or not to move forward. At the same time, I'm going to take any proposals that are presented. I'll go ahead and go through the preliminary due diligence, and I'll work with any proposal, any offers on viability. Then I will move forward with working with our design and construction team and our operations team, see what works operationally, economically, and then I present that to management for a final decision. That's a very lengthy period of time. Then you're dealing with, as we come to the town, design, construction. That's a challenge. Anyway, doesn't matter where you're. And ultimately, that's the process. It is a challenge. I'm being honest. It does take time. Okay? We're very fortunate in a situation where no decision has to be made today. We have occupancy, mail's moving, we've got a great location, great rapport with the landlord. We're looking at alternatives. And that's pretty much it.
And you're looking to rent, not purchase?
Correct. Correct. Yes. We're only, and that's an excellent question. We are only looking to be part of a pre-existing building. We don't look to purchase land, we don't look to build, we don't look to buy. We're not in the real estate ownership process, we just want to rent. In addition, we want to rent a pre-existing retail space, okay, rather than be part of a construction project is our preference. Okay, that's just the rules.
But you do a build-out?
We do the internal build-out, that is correct. Okay, the Postal Service will take the space and turn it into a post office. Okay.
Well, in the public, any other questions? Actually, I think, Bill, if you don't mind, just anybody on the council wants to ask a question. Okay.
Mayor, can I just interject one thing?
Sure.
As I mentioned earlier, this process isn't all about tonight. Okay, this is just the springboard. So as you run across questions or ideas or things like that, it is really simple, just shoot me an email. Okay, anybody can. Okay, and then I can give you the best communication back to where we're at the time. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Well, let me open it to the public. May I ask,
I just have
I'm
one
sorry.
question. How long is the rent? Do you have it for a 5-year, 10-year, 3-year?
And we start off with a 5-year term with 2 5-year renewal options, allowing us to have a 15-year control. Once we go somewhere, we generally
Want to stay
there. In addition, the cost of build out for a postal is not a Starbucks building. Ma'am?
Question, you're not considering merging with another post
No,
office?
not at all.
Okay, that's off the table.
Off tip. Not even,
And you're not considering closing it?
not
That's
at all.
all? Okay.
No, we're not closing any access points, certainly not here. We'll maintain occupancy.
any, I mean, we can ask questions later, but anything now, or we'll open it up. May I ask folks to identify themselves when they speak, before they speak? And there was a hand over here. Are you still want your hand up or not?
Sure, yeah, Bill Walton, I live up Paris Hollow. So we're looking at a 5-year lease with 2 5-year
Renewal
extensions.
options, yeah.
And I've heard some requirements about needing 18-wheelers to get into the.
Okay,
space. How
18
critical is that?
Okay, 18-wheeler is 53 foot. We don't really do that. It's a little bit smaller size.
Okay,
But that would be, there's a whole maneuverability radius, okay? So each space itself would have to be analyzed from our DNC design and construction team and our transportation team. So to answer your question, big truck, not necessarily a tractor trailer, each space would be analyzed for how you get in and out. Big time. Yeah. And by the way, before we get into any other questions, I was the only one. I do feel a little singled out. Thank you. I hope I didn't guilt you into it. All right, we're gonna start with, Mayor.
Yeah, okay, sure, Tamara.
Members of the council, Mr. Mayor,
Identify
that's part of the council, Mr. Hancock, members of the public, I'm Tamara Miller. I live in 22747 delivery area. I used to live in town. I have been concerned since the access to the post office has become increasingly difficult and the volume of service there is becoming increasingly large. As a regular member of the public that is served by that post office, I have a post office box there. When I go to the post office box, I often have to park down Main Street somewhere because there is no other parking. So I'm looking forward to your finding of a location that is easily accessible by the public. Ideally, it would be even one with a drive-by mail drop. I used to do service with the bank up on Gay Street, and when they wanted to put in a drive-by teller, they weren't, that wasn't suitable for their location, and so they moved up to the highway, and now we have 3 drive-by tellers out there. It is my fervent hope that when the post office does find a location, it will be easily accessible both for getting to there and getting out, and that all postal patrons of that postal service will feel welcome there and that they will be able to park without any difficulties. It's also my fervent hope that all of the mail delivery people and those trucks, which are some of them quite large, will have easy access to the building, to loading, unloading, turning around, and getting out without impeding other activities in town. And I'm sure that you will find a location like that. A couple of years ago, when the street was given away to another entity, I expressed concern that this would become a greater problem with parking for the post office. And I was told at that time that it was none of my business because I didn't live in town. Well, I do live in 22747 delivery area, And like my neighbors, we do care about access to our post office. Thank you.
Understood and appreciated, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am?
Jean, did I realized that we're at the very beginning of the process, as you said, but I had two questions. One is, do you have any sort of estimate of time frame when the move might be executed?
That's a hard one on this particular scenario, okay? I'm going to take kind of a metaphorical step back and give you a broad sweep, okay? That as a history type thing, about a year, okay? All right, from past projects,
Okay,
okay?
that's helpful.
Okay.
And then, once you have various locations under consideration, will there be another town council meeting about this?
No. This is when we look at a space, okay? This is a postal operational and economic decision made by postal management, okay? Consideration for our customers is always part of that decision, okay? But it's really made by postal management within their criteria. I'm not even one of the decision makers, okay? I make recommendations, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. It's kind of the same thing with you all. Now, having said that, that's a good segue into this other point, okay? There's a 30-day comment period, okay? But really, you can comment at any time. You can ask me questions at any time during that process, okay?
So the 30-day comment period is after you determine the location?
No, the 30-day comment period is now for the project,
Okay.
okay? It's just only about the project, okay? We're in a situation where, we are looking at alternatives, okay? And so is the inn. It's mutual. There's a lot of give and take, okay? I'll give you an example. We're looking at our requirements again, okay? With growth and with different packages and everything else. That's our planning department, okay? So that's another section that's going to look at that. And that also ties into how that space works or doesn't work for the next 10 years. It ties into anything else we do, okay? So when I say 30 days, people talk to me all the time, okay? Just pick up a phone call. Best thing to do is send me an email or a letter, okay? So anyway, that's where Sir?
John Bourgeois, I live out of town, I'm in the postal zone. I have a post office box, and I come to the post office every day. And I can assure you, I have found a parking space every time.
Understood. Okay. Okay. Mayor? Go ahead.
I would just second what John said, but elaborate a little bit. I mean, Rappahannock is a special county, and we're not Schaumburg, we're not Rockville, we're not Arlington, and I don't even when I go to McDonald's, I don't use the drive up there. I don't think that's a priority here. I think the priority here for the post office is to fit into the unique charm of Rappahannock County, and particularly the town of Washington. I don't know if you noticed, but if you look at the town buildings, we're in an historic town hall. We've got the little brick house for the treasurer, little brick house for the revenue person, little brick house for the supervisor. It's a very special place, and I think the post office could make a real emotional impression on the community by choosing something that fits that characteristic of the county. And so I, for one, do not want to see us out on 211. I think that just gets us into the suburban sprawl thing. And I would like to see something here in the town, which is the heart of the 22747 district. And I think that would create a lot of goodwill. So there's considerations. Yeah, you got to have places for the trucks, I understand that. But we also have to consider how it fits into the community. And I know you're thinking about that.
I mean, this
That's what I heard you
This is what
say.
I do,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
This is what I do. I come to these communities and I look and listen to what you're saying, okay? And that's what I communicate back to my superiors, okay? And that's why you can send me an email saying, I've heard you, okay? I can guarantee you my bosses already know what you're saying, okay? I guarantee you that. And I guarantee you I will communicate that,
Yeah.
okay? But we have to let the process evolve,
Got it.
okay?
Hi, Rick. My name is John Lazinski. I'm on the Board of Supervisors representing the Hampton District. And the Hampton District is basically hand in glove with the town here. We share a lot of the real estate in town in the sense that we're on our county offices on Gay Street, and the district, which is kind of the hub of the wheel in Rappahannock County, is in the center, and many of the residents in Hampton, consider, they come into Washington to shop, to eat, to come to the post office, to the church, and I think it's, as you take a look at options that you may have from a real estate perspective, and you probably are already aware of this, but please keep in mind the amount of economic activity that is generated for our shops and our restaurants in our town through residents from my district and the town who come to the post office sometimes on a daily basis. I think it's important that the location be as close to the town, if not in the town, or preferably within this area. And if there's nothing suitable in the town, that it be in the county immediately adjacent to the town, or very, very close to it, because both the Hampton District and the town are really hand in glove, and we work very closely with the mayor and the town council. And so, from a perspective of being a resident within the Hampton District, a citizen who's not in the town or comes into the town often, as well as a supervisor representative for the Hampton District, I just think it's important for you to keep all of those aspects in mind, and what a central hub and location the post office has become, clearly to the town, but also in the county immediately surrounding it.
Understood, and I'll go back, heard. Heard? Yeah. Thank you. Feeling that. Wow. Okay.
So one of the reasons given for...
Name, please. Name,
Oh,
please.
sorry, Caroline Anstey. I live on Main Street here in New York, and I use it every day. So one of the reasons we've heard for the need to have more space is the volume of packages that you have now, and most people predict that will just increase. Are there any precedents for handling packages in a slightly different way? In an adjacent building, or doing build out to create extra space for packages?
And the answer is yes.
And some communities you get an email when your package has arrived, and you might go to a slightly different space.
That one I'm not going to go to, okay, on operation. I'm not going to get involved with that, okay? But to answer your, original question, yeah, we always look at potential expansions. We look at the path of least resistance before we ever look at building a new post office location, okay? So those things are analyzed. You're absolutely right. The package business has changed what we do, okay? Greatly, all right? Not just here, obviously, but, throughout the nation. And it does have a dramatic impact on how our spaces are being used, okay? If we were just talking about a retail-only component, okay, where you just come in and buy stamps, you have a P.O. box, have a nice day, well, okay, you'll have your 1 or 2 trucks. Okay, but in this situation, with this economy, and the package business is crucial for us, okay, for the future. We look at those type of things, and it does change what space we're looking for, okay? And it does change what spaces work for us, Okay, and I'm not gonna predict where we're going, but the answer is definitely. Okay.
I'm Gary Achel. For 4 years, I lived right down the road, ran a bed and breakfast, and recently I relocated a half mile into the county, just up the road. I'm sorry I didn't sit with you. We are a very generous, hospitable place, and we should have just crowded around you and hugged you.
No, I'm
But thank you. But thank you for coming, especially tonight. It's not a very, very nice night out. When I moved here, I was surprised to find that I was getting a free post office box. It's the only thing I've ever gotten from the United States government that I didn't pay for.
Or not the United States government.
All right. I stand corrected. But the reason I got the post office box was because I didn't get any mail delivered to my home. And I thought it was an okay trade. Rather than going to the end of my walk to get my mail, I walked up the street and got my mail. And as a consequence of that, my wife and I developed a warm and rich friendship with the wonderful staff that worked in that post office. I would second what other people have said. There is something truly unique, and I don't think that's misstating the fact or misusing the word. The post office is sort of the heart in a way. I see my friends and neighbors walking there, and we stop to chat. It's one of the few pedestrian things left. I don't need to get in my car to go get my mail. I can walk. I still can walk if the weather would cooperate. And so I understand you're going to have an enormous challenge. If you're not going to buy land and build, you're looking for an existing space. I'll bet everyone at that table and probably everyone in this room can tell you every built property in the town of Washington.
I'm really close to that right now.
Yes, if you spent the afternoon, you've got a good chance of having visited every property in town. We just finished a comprehensive plan review, which took us almost to the doorstep of every property in the town. And then, if it's to stay contiguous with town, most of us are very familiar with the limitations of built space that exists within a half a mile of town. So, I think we respect your challenge. But I would endorse the view that if there's any possible way to keep a pedestrian-friendly post office located within the town of Little Washington, it would not only be great for the Postal Service, but it would be great for all of us. And thank you again for coming and listening to us.
And once again, okay.
Hello, I'm Laura Grigsby. My husband and I live in the 22747 number. I am not fortunate, like everybody else in this room, that doesn't have or that stays in the county. I commute out to work. Today I pass 7 different post offices on my way out and back. I very infrequently make any purchases at the town post office because when I leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and I get back at 7 o'clock at night, the post office is not open. So I have to make adaptations and arrangements when we do get packages and those kind of things. So it is not on my path, either direction that I go when I'm commuting out of the community. So that's just my statement about, I understand that it's a wonderful place to go and that it's a community center, but there are a lot of people that still live in this county that don't have the capacity to be able to be here all day long, every day of the week. We go out of the county to earn a living. So that's part one. The second thing is you mentioned email and letters. How do we reach you? And what do you really want to hear from us? If we have a recommendation for a location, comments like I just made that I commute out of the community, those kind of things. What would you like in those letters that would help you represent the cross-section of people that are in the 22747 zip code?
First of all, I do commute, okay, a great distance, okay, and my post office my personal post office is very far away from where I live. I live in suburbia, rural North Carolina. But I am fortunate enough that there is a contract postal unit that is right there where I gas up. So, there are access points, okay, for people like it. Not, saying anything, I'm just saying, hopefully there's something out there on your way back and forth. All right. The next point is, right back here. Her, okay? Document, all the above, okay? An email stating what I've heard, okay? Every one of these emails, or letter, okay? Goes to postal management, okay? I am the conduit, okay? And I make sure that it's reviewed, okay? And in addition, I happen to be the real estate chairman of the committee, okay? When we hold the site review committee meeting, okay? And so that's presented. Now, once again, I'm not the deciding factor, okay? But I do make recommendations, okay? I will tell you, wherever we go, there's gonna be some not happy people and some happy people, okay? I got a couple hundred post offices that I've done over the last 11 years. 1 or 2 people might be happy, 1 or 2 people might be not happy, okay? But the key is to keep the post office. That's the key, and that's why we're here, okay?
So are you gonna give us cards, or are you gonna tell us?
Right up there.
Actually, the card's right here, if anybody wants them. When you want them.
Thank you.
Would you just repeat your email address so
Yeah.
those that are watching can also check it?
That is a great idea, okay? All right. I think Richard dot A as in Allen dot Hancock, HANCOCK, the number 2 at USPS.gov. And I'm on YouTube.
Got it.
All right. I know you have more. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Brenda Van Ness, Skid Brown Hollow, 25 years, and I'm also in 22747. And with all due respect to Mr. Walton, I'm in historic Skid Brown Hollow, and I don't consider 211 to be part of Northern Virginia or a suburban area. As a matter of fact, from where the recycle center is across the way to the physical therapy practice, to the arts and antiques, all the way up to the bank, to where the gun shop is all commercially zoned. And so that would be a key area to be looking at. I'm not quite certain tonight why, if we're addressing residents of 22747, why we're not at a planning commission, or why is it being held right here in town, because I feel like I understand if I was in town, I probably would love to be walking to the post office. 25 years ago, it was really easy to go to the post office. As a matter of fact, after living out here for 2 weeks, I walked up to the post office and talked to Linda at the time, and I asked her, how do I get a mailbox? She said, why, honey, you just put one up. And then she said, what's your name? And I gave her my name. She said, well, where have you been? Your mail's piling up here for you. It is sweet, and the people that work in the office are very sweet. But we really need to keep an open mind to all of us that are outside of the county, outside of the town. We need to think about where community is gathering already in pre-existing places. There's a lot of activity there. So in all the two of
And
them.
I'm going to go back and say, I hear you.
Thank you.
Okay? I'm well aware of those properties.
Thank you.
Okay? And they will be reviewed along with everything. We've thrown our net wide open. We have not squeezed anything down.
One last comment, and that's to each and every person in here. I just want to say we do have an incredible community, and if we didn't feel heartfelt and we didn't love this place, we certainly wouldn't be out on this icy night.
And it's appreciated, and likewise, I mean, it's my job to be here, okay? It's a choice, you do. And I appreciate the civic mindedness and duty and care and concern. And, I will leave you with this, okay? I was a former commercial real estate broker. I've done a lot of stuff. doing new space acquisitions for the Postal Service for 11 years. When I leave town and there's a new post office, it's pretty cool. Okay, it's a pretty cool feeling. All right? And sometimes I get down and then say I'm away from home on an icy night, 5-hour drive for me. At least I'm not in Toledo. Okay, which I used to live in. It's great here. All right, but you have something of civicness. Okay, if civicness is a word, I don't know. So
I just got one more. There are a lot of points of view here, and I respect all of them. And for me personally, I drive 10 minutes to get to the post office, so it's not exactly a walk. But I'm kind of fixated on the charm factor, which is having it in town. But there are other considerations where people live, other places is not convenient. We have to consider that. Have you done any analytics on who is served in the 227 area and how far people have to go to get there, so there's some way to balance the people in town versus the people in the rest of the
And to answer your question, sort of.
There's got to be some sort of...
To answer your question, sort of. Okay?
Yeah, sort of.
And that's a planning issue, okay?
Yeah.
We have our own planning department. They run their own analytics. I'm not part of that, okay? But I will tell you that right now, we're looking at a broad stroke, okay? But our operations team, okay, will make the final decision, okay? And we're not there yet. To answer your question, yes, with a caveat.
I think it'd be interesting to know how many people have to travel, how far to get there.
And I understand, but, you know,
Okay, all right.
there's also more to that, okay, a lot more. All right. Mayor, I know you have an agenda, okay, to get to. What I tell everybody is thank you for your time, okay? I think the roads are fine if I get to 211, okay?
I know you want to see the football game.
I don't have a document.
Right, let me ask you to reiterate something that you said this afternoon that I thought was terribly important, and if I misstated, do correct me, that you all, wherever it is, the inside the building, you will want it to meet all the specs and needs of the postal service.
Correct.
The exterior, which is to say how it looks from outside, you're very sensitive to the needs, the interests, the views of the public. So
Absolutely.
it's not necessarily going to be a structure, wherever it is, that has a sort of a canned look to it.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And, you know, like I said, we're not buying anything, we're not building anything. It would be somebody else's building, and they have to follow the rules. Inside, we turn it into a post office. And that's a challenge in and of itself. Okay, so anyway, y'all, I am going, and I can say y'all, born in Oklahoma, live in North Carolina, okay? I am going to go away. Thank you for coming out. I'll be back. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Okay. What did I do on the agenda? Laura, I have it. I'm sorry, I thought I wrote my notes on. Laura, I have it. I'm sorry. All right, well, that was interesting. The minutes, next to the agenda are the minutes. Any questions, suggestions, what have you? Other than Mary Ann's formal edits? Well, you're done. Anything of substance? Do you have a motion to approve the minutes? Second? I'll second. Thank you. Treasurer's report, Mr. Goble?
You want to have an approval? You did it first and second.
No, all in favor?
I got a second.
No, we didn't all.
It wasn't a roll call, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, how are you voting?
I'm happy to redo it.
I'm sorry, should keep on that.
Is it unanimous or not? You okay with that?
Treasurer's report, Mr. Goble.
Total consolidated assets of the town of Washington as of 12/31/2017 was $517,368.80. During that same period, the consolidated assets of the Washington Water Works was $9,169.83, and the wastewater was $15,217.37. December usage, we pumped 935,100 gallons, backwash 32,400, leaving us 902,700 billable gallons, and we billed 583,951 gallons. We had no non-metered sales, leaving us a treated but not yet billable gallons of 318,749 gallons. Total income for the town of December 2017 was $29,099. During that same period, the Washington Water Works income was $6,187.87, and the wastewater income was $9,605.50. The tax for the bills to be paid and the additional bills. I don't think there was anything out of the ordinary here other than it's payday for the council. But if you have any questions, I'll try to answer. Otherwise, that's what I have.
Good question. When we say the meals and lodging is $27,958, now, what period of time does that represent? I mean, is that December? Or is that, or is it
Well,
like November back?
They could be a little bit further back. They have 30 days in which to pay it. And some people pay 2 months at one time. Some people pay right on time at the end of every month.
Okay, now does that go through the state and then to us? What is the?
No, that comes directly to
Comes
us.
to us directly to us. Okay. Okay. So then we say the town income for December, so as of December 31st, we collected 27,000?
Right.
In December,
In December.
but it might not, I mean,
We may.
We might have something that's coming from November's.
most of it, people don't turn in the current month on that.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. I didn't know if it went
And some,
through the state.
some people are on.
No, it comes, they have a form they fill out, they bring it directly here.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
But Brad,
Okay.
is that because you were talking before about the Airbnb going to the state?
No, I was just wondering, like I said, it was my impression, like when you have a meal, you look at your receipt, it says, tax. So I was wondering, does that money, that particular restaurant, send that money to the state, pays their taxes, and then the state disperses it back to us?
Sales tax.
No, they pay their state taxes, the fact that they pay their town meals and lodging.
Meals and lodging
directly to us.
comes directly to us. Okay, that I didn't understand. And that's why I was wondering, when we see December, whether that was actually maybe November, because it was coming from the state, and the state has to process all that. So, okay, that clarifies it.
Do we do a bar graph to see where the meals and lodging tax, where there are times where there are more money coming in on a particular month and less money coming in on another month, so we can anticipate that for cash flow purposes? Have you ever done that?
We do it, yeah, we usually do like a 3-year.
Or
once a year or twice a year, showing what November was last year, this year.
But do we do it for the whole
year, so that
Yeah.
you can see where, so you know where the peak times are and where the.
Right, we do the whole January, February, 3 years for each year.
After all these years, we
And
gotta have
then
that
when we do
figured
the
out.
budget, we have that, so we kind of kind of know where the peak months are, I guess.
Let me add to that answer. It's true, a number of times we sit down in what you might call an ad hoc basis and look very carefully at what's happening month by month now compared to other months in the year. But it's not something that is done necessarily every quarter, let's say, and there's a report distributed to the council.
Right.
So it's more of a, it's done, but it's sort of, and there's no reason it can't be done and distributed to everybody, you know, on a regular, on a more formal basis. But
I just think.
we have a pretty good, no one's asked the question, but I'm going to answer it. We are at the end of 6 months, which is, you know, about half the year. And the meals and lodging income is just a little bit ahead of last year. It's inconsequentially ahead of last year. As was discussed earlier, sometimes the numbers are a little up and down because of, you know, flow. But nevertheless, we're not up 10% or something.
Right. Thank you.
And there's a mix, you know, some people are doing better than others.
That's all I have.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make that.
I'll second it. All in favor? All right. Planning Commission, Mr. Kaplan.
Unfortunately, the planning commission had a meeting scheduled for December 27th, and we were unable to keep a quorum. I don't know why. So we were unable to meet and discuss the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance regarding the person-to-person lodging. So we will take that up at our January meeting. And with our apologies that we are unable to get that done.
I think we appreciate the challenge. ARB, there is no ARB meeting this week because there are no applications. Town attorney, Mr. Bennett's not here, therefore there's no report. Old business. First item on the agenda is the appointment of a planning commission member. Just to remind everybody, Mr. Kaplan is chairman of the planning commission, joined the town council. Mr. Schneider, who's on the planning commission, and the town councilor stepped down from the planning commission because one cannot have more than 2 people crossing both. So therefore, there is a vacancy. We have an application from, a very good application. You want to say something, or I'll say something?
I follow you.
Okay, maybe let me just say. We have an application from Caroline Anstey, who is right between Alan and Gary Achel. I think everybody knows Caroline. She has lived in town for the last, 3 or 4 years. She has an extraordinary, distinguished record outside of Rappahannock in the world of global finance. A long career with the World Bank. She's lived in Europe. She's a former journalist, which of course appeals to me. Because transparency is so important in this day and age in government. I think all of you know Beverly's and my passion for Haiti and Haitian art. Caroline spent 4 or 5 years overseeing what was going on in Haiti for the World Bank. So I guess she shares the passion, but I think that's just for transparency. I don't think there's a conflict anymore. And my sense is that the members of the Planning Commission are quite keen on this choice.
We are very excited to have Ms. Anstey with us. Very excited.
So I will make a motion to, unless anyone else has any, I would make a motion to report Caroline to the Planning Commission.
I would second
A race between two people.
that. As soon as how I step down,
Brad gets to do it. It's his spot. Brad is number two. Let's have a roll call vote for this. Brad, I start with you.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Yes. Great, thank you.
Does that have a date and expiration date?
It's well, but I'm gonna have to go back and follow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
At this point, you can say that you will,
Right.
whatever.
What is better, an expiration date or for life?
Yeah.
Expiration date.
Expiration date's nothing.
All right, Caroline, I'm delighted that you're gonna do this. We really have a first-rate planning commission, I think. Really good. Okay, at the beginning of the meeting, I asked that we put on the agenda an update on the efforts to develop some advisory committees. We're not going to, because this was not an advertised agenda item, we're not going to vote on something, but it's well worth discussing. And Fred has some suggestions, so I will turn it over to him.
I just, I thought at the last meeting, John Sullivan brought up some good ideas for different task force assignments. If you take the town council members as a small sample size, what I heard was most of the town council members opting to either be on one or two of the different task forces, and I thought it would be, that would be representative of kind of how people in the community might be interested, and so I thought it would be better to try to take John's good work and to realign it in a way that made all 5 task force assignments of equal interest perhaps to the broader population. So I've written down some ideas. Basically, I mean, keep the infrastructure task force, have a business development task force, a tourism or visitors development task force, a housing task force, and a financial and administrative task force. The additional steps that were recommended in the October letter from the Planning Commission for preservation and maintain historic character and integrity of the town could be under the Architectural Review Board, and then the Planning Commission could assess the zoning issues and the status of the town's boundaries based on the input from the various task forces. So I'd like to throw this out for discussion. I have copies for the public as well.
Are you done for a second?
Yes.
Let me emphasize and reiterate, if anybody wasn't here the last meeting, the notion here is to involve as many people as possible within some limits, to help the town figure out how best to move forward. And these advisory groups would consist of, let us say, a person from town council, although not necessarily limited, a person from each of these, and then people from the planning commission or the ARB, or people who aren't on any of them but live in town. Or indeed, if people have some skill set that would be particularly appropriate to this, whether they live in town or not, even whether they live in 22747, we would welcome, the interest of people. And it's an effort to not only move ahead on those subjects, but also involve more people, and more people who have presumably better ideas and outcomes. A good way for people to collaborate together. what's your thought in terms of proceeding? Should we ask people to offline volunteer or express an interest, or if somebody wants to, some people express some interest, the last go around.
At this point, I would just throw it out there as something to look at. I would say it probably at the February meeting that we really
do. And we'll make sure that it's in the paper.
But I just wanted to throw this out there as one possibility, a way to try to do it so that it made all 5 areas of interest.
And although there are not too many in the room now, after the postal discussion, we do have some number of people will be watching this, so it's an open invitation. All right, the next item is new business. Proposal from ESS to replace a valve check at the wastewater treatment plant. All the material are in the documents in terms of various alternatives, presented in a way that I think one would describe as professional. And we have a recommendation from our person there. Brad has taken a look at this, and Brad, any thoughts you might have as to, I might point out, it's actually, the amount being involved here probably doesn't actually need town approval, but it just seemed to me like, why not? Which doesn't mean we'll always do it this way. Brad,
Well, yeah, I went through what Cody had submitted, and I concur generally with his recommendations on which particular valve. One of the things that I'm going to be doing as we move forward in the new year here, Cody and I are looking for a time when he and I can get together, because I'm going to go through both the wastewater plant and our water plant and do a pretty deep dive into the facilities, the equipment, age of everything, so that we can start looking at various things that are going to need to be updated, improved, changed out, whatever. And then that'll all come into a report that I'll give to council. But I think this little repair that needs to be done right now, I'd say we go ahead and get it done. And then we move on to some of the other things coming up.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Well, I'm confused.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Recommending, there were three things, and you're going with the one they recommended?
Option number one.
Option
one, okay.
Right.
With 1,000.
Which is the least expensive and the one I recommend.
Yeah.
It's for 1,008. This is just for the park. It's $1,807 including park.
Right. Yep.
And is it, what it says in here, that the old one weighed 200 pounds and the new one weighs 20 pounds?
Yeah, it's different construction and materials. Okay. Yep.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you look at these things, it's like motors, valves, everything else. There's different materials that are used, so it can really vary. You can go up and get, an industrial valve that would weigh 200, 300, 400 pounds, or you can get another one that weighs, 80 pounds. It's a little bit of how they're designed, what their components are, variation. But I think Cody's, he's looking at various options for us. I think this works. And I would all keep in mind, nothing lasts forever. So we fix this now and replace it. Somewhere down the line, we're going to replace it again. That's the nature of the beast that we're managing.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Let me just add something.
I think that was a roll call.
Is that a roll call?
Yeah, I didn't hear any nays.
Okay, so
Starting.
we'll say roll call.
Let me just mention something because it's relevant. Having said earlier that this is 6 months, I talked about meals and lodging. The total revenues for the town the first 6 months are $325,000 versus $307 same time last year. But what I really want to mention is the expenses are 308,000 versus 355. That is to say, it's something like $47,000 less, which for us is a lot of money. And a lot of that is actually the wastewater system is doing a little better this year.
We're holding our breath.
You know, it's like you sort of don't really say it, but they're, that,
Don't even change it.
yeah, that and legal fees, dare I say. And then everything else is running pretty tight on it. I think that's it, is it not? And then we public, yep. I'd like to open public forum, any subject? It is so great to have Jean Goodine back in this room.
It's good to be back.
Jean served on the planning commission and the town council for a good long period of time.
And I'd like to just extend my thanks to all of you who worked so hard about the Christmas parade and the Christmas party, which I think were both tremendously successful. And I know the amount of work that Laura and other people put into it, and so I want to extend congratulations on a job well done. I do have a couple of one suggestion about each, one of which you may have already heard about regarding the town party, which is, but I promised Roger Welch I'd bring it up. When the invitations to the party went out, they went out with the water bill, but there's some people who are in town or work in town who do not get water bills.
I actually sent out separate invitations, but because of some of them got returned because of the way I had the.
Okay, because I know the Welches didn't get one.
Yeah,
I
theirs
felt
got
bad
returned.
Because the day after Roger came up to me and said, is there going to be a Christmas party this year? Oh, I don't know.
I put the return address in the middle of the back of the envelope, and the post office decided that was the address it was sending it to, so they sent it back to me.
And I can certainly see why it makes sense to do it with the water bill, it saves money.
I did it both ways, but I will be more careful next year that they don't get confused about that.
But Jean, you had a second?
Yeah, regarding the parade, could the people on the floats be discouraged from throwing candy? Where I live, it's.
They actually have been.
Okay, well, this year,
They do.
where I live,
We're-
no, they're.
We're going to be more steadfast
Okay.
in our urgings to them, not to throw things.
Kids, you know, they really like it when a person comes up and gives them the candy.
Right.
But having it thrown at them is a little, if you excuse me, like Donald Trump throwing paper towels. It's not particularly successful. And I had to pick up quite a lot of litter, and then that night when I walked my dog, who's very oral, he scrounged up all the leftover chocolate and got sick that night. So if we could do something to further discourage that.
Just for everybody's planning, because I'm sure you're really thinking about it. The Christmas parade this year was one weekend later than normal, partly due to the calendar and Thanksgiving, et cetera, et cetera. And therefore the party was a week later. Again, due to the calendar, we're going to be moving back to the parade. Will be the first weekend in December, the 2nd, and the party will be the following Sunday, the 9th. Which means, Mr. Rachel, we will not be in conflict again with the Baptist Church.
That's so.
Which means you may not get out of leading the singing again. If you should be deemed willing to do so. Any other, Nancy?
This 5 original proposed task force, it needs more people. How can this be disseminated? Can it be put in the Rappahannock News? Can it be sent out in emails? It needs more people. I don't possess these competencies to deal with it.
She needs to get it out to.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, the information needs to be gotten out so that somebody who might have an interest, the people with the money, the people with the property, need to be brought in.
Well, I think it's a good idea. But assuming people think it makes sense, we might simply send out a note to the email list that we have with the right appropriate note.
Or, you know,
And the paper will or
Do
will
we
not.
need to use the February meeting to kind of finalize what are going to be the different advisory groups? And then send out something right after that?
That's good.
And it could have, again, it could be something placed on the back of the water.
well, I can always do that. But honestly, if you really want to get their attention, we should send them a separate letter. People put their bills in a pile and then 2 months later say, oh, I forgot, you know. So, I mean, if you, something from, on this town letterhead and on a separate letter, probably will get people's attention.
Because this
In
is something
town.
important.
We do have a website.
Let's have an aggressive.
We can put it on the website as well.
Yeah, but that requires people.
We could actually invite key people who might be flattered that they've been invited.
Yeah. Oh, I think we should all think of people that one might want to, we can encourage people to join us.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, and
If they're one otherwise.
right, and, I mean, it's a practical matter of being silly. If 30 people say they want to be on a given committee, I'm not, that's too many. I'm not sure we'll have that problem. Mr. Rachel.
Following up, I suspect that once the council actually decides what it wants to do, maybe February, maybe March, the paper would be more than happy, given the coverage they give you, Foothill and all that. I mean, we seem to have a very civic-minded paper these days with very substantive articles. So I would think that would be a way to reach, without much expense, a very broad constituency. And you might actually be able to attract the kinds of talent that we would hope would serve on these. As far as the parade, I've heard great things. I mean, it's always a great day for me. But I've heard a lot of very positive feedback, probably more than in past years, despite the early grumbling about the change of the date. So I think that what could have been problematic was wiped out by the fact the event went so well. A couple things. One, parking. You never want anyone to get in trouble on a happy day. But we stood at a corner where a number of floats and even the fire truck almost didn't finish the parade because people didn't observe the parking signs. And I don't know if that's a council issue or a sheriff issue or whatever, but where you made the turn from Main Street up the little stub to turn on to get.
There was a problem.
It was marked, no parking, parade route, all the rest. The people parked both sides, and but for some very, very skillful driving, they wouldn't have gotten through it. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, and I saw no cars damaged. But that would be a bummer if, to ruin the spirit of that day, if there had been an accident or a car, or they couldn't finish the parade, somebody had to be towed.
This is on Porter?
Yeah. Just the block in front of the...
There are a number of people who ignored the no parking signs.
Well, and that leads to the larger issue.
More
which
than
is, for whatever reason, I didn't think the crowd was a whole lot larger than the previous 2 years. But parking seemed much worse. And I noticed people were parking on Tiger Valley across 211 and walking down Mount Salem. Also not terribly safe because people were parked on both sides of Mount Salem. So I have no idea whether there's a solution, whether there could be better notice about where people could park. I don't know whether the fire department lot, volunteer fire, is available. I know it's a staging area. All the other lots are pretty much full. Is there a way you could even, I know it's an expense, but it might be safer to run a shuttle from somewhere where people could park, maybe at the elementary school or the high school lot, and then just have a shuttle bring them around? The parade draws, just from the chats I had up and down Gay Street, an enormous amount of interest from well beyond the walking distance of the town, which means there's going to be vehicles. And so then the question is, what do we do to maintain public safety when you're inviting people to your town? Just a couple observations.
Sounds like a topic.
Those are good ideas. Let me just clarify something. It seems unimportant, but it actually is important. The town itself has nothing to do with this parade.
Right.
And therefore the town government has nothing to do with this parade. But having said that, there are people who are on their own or involved in it, and I'm sure your message will be heard, but the town government has nothing to do with the parade.
To the extent that
other than to wish it well.
To the extent that the mayor or anyone on town council has any influence with any of the people who might be involved with such a thing, I'm just passing down this kind of general knowledge.
Yes, we wear different hats. Thank you. Anything else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn the tools.
I'll second that.
Gary.
All in favor? Wraps us. Yeah. That was paid.
Aye.